Scott, your new welterweight champion is a 26-0 fighter who just dominated one of your long-standing champions. What did you think of that performance from Yaroslav Amosov?
Yeah, I mean, I think that anybody that wants to compete in the welterweight division better have a complete game, and they better be able to wrestle. And that's something that, Amosov is very good at wrestling. Dan Lambert told me he's the best wrestler at AT&T when I was there last week, and he proved it tonight.
You're a guy that's seen your fair share of martial arts in your day. Where does his wrestling match up, do you think, in the scape of MMA?
I'll tell you, it's not just the wrestling because, I think if it was only the wrestling, I think Douglas could have maybe had an answer just for the wrestling part, but because he's worried about getting punched, he's worried about getting kicked, he's worried about getting taken down, I think it threw him off, and Amosov has a complete game, and that's really what MMA is today. You can't just be good at one or two, you better have it all, and his transitions were amazing tonight, and he was very smooth, and he did what he had to do.
This card had a very welterweight vibe to it, even though the co-main event was a catchweight. You had Michael Venom Page up in the booth as well. So, how do you view the 170-pound division right now? Amosov and Jason Jackson both sat up here and they said they want to fight each other next. Do you like that fight? Is MVP next? What are you kind of thinking right now?
Yeah, I mean, I want to go back and talk to the fight team and figure that out. But listen, there's Neiman Gracie out there too, Jackson. You got MVP. You got Lima, you got Amosov. I mean, we got a great division there. So, we like to go back and reshuffle the deck, and let's see how the rankings come out on Monday.
Aaron Pico picked up his fourth straight win in a row tonight. He said he feels like he's ready to take that jump back up to fight some contenders. Do you agree with him?
I mean, from what I saw tonight, to me, he was the star of the night, as far as I'm concerned, man. Because his improvement of his complete game, and we're talking left, right, body shot, takedown, his transitions were amazing. And so I saw a lot of combinations I haven't seen before with Aaron, and I think that his level of improvement has gone up drastically. So, we'll have a conversation with his management and his coach and see what they're thinking. But, he looked amazing tonight. And the guy he's fighting is no joke. So, he was impressive.
Last one for me, kind of random. I saw you were talking cage side quite a bit tonight with Combate Global's Campbell McLaren. Was that just a friendly conversation? Was that a business conversation? Can you talk to me about that whole thing?
No, it was actually just, it's the first time I met Campbell. Great guy. He seemed like he's has a great business going over there. And, Mike Aframovich, who used to work for us back in the Strikeforce days, is working over there. So it was a nice reunion, and he brought Campbell to come check it out. And we just hung out and said hello and just talked shop. He was a nice conversation.
Scott, how did it feel being out there and hearing the fans again? It was pretty surreal, honestly. At least for me. How was it for you?
It started for me yesterday when I walked into the building, and there were no curtains up. For 1 year, we've been in this environment, which is they've taken great care of us here at the Mohegan Sun, and we've had this closed environment, almost like a closed set, a little set design going on, and no fans. And so when I walked into the stadium yesterday and I saw the bleachers down, I had to look twice because it was such an unreal experience because we haven't done it for so long. But that's when it started hitting me. Okay, this is a different setup, and fans are going to come. And to me, you saw the fan interaction. It was great, and they were very passionate. They cheered for their favorites, and they booed for the people they didn't want to win. And I always felt like sports needs fans, and fans need live sports. So tonight was a great return for us, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with the same setup, same amount of people, and then in July we'll pick it up, and hopefully by let's say September onward, it'll be kind of business as usual.
Going back to Aaron Pico, like you said, he was the star of the night. He just continues to improve and get better and better. And the hype that surrounded him coming into MMA was just at a ridiculous level. Do you feel like he's exceeded your expectations at this point in your career, or do we still have to wait a couple more to sort of gauge that?
I tell you, what I saw tonight was spectacular and tremendous growth from where I saw him fight last time. And really, I think, he's more on the program of what we're looking for now, and the frequency of which we'll fight him will be more than we did before. And, I think by the end of the year, he'll be right back up there to where, he can start fighting the top guys again. Because I think that, you know, what I saw today was impressive. And really it was about the transitions and the combinations and how fluid he was in from the punch, the kick to the takedown. And come on, to finish him with the choke, I mean, I was like, wow, this guy has come full circle in my opinion, because, you know, he wasn't doing that a year ago, 2 years ago. He tried 2 or 3 attempts. He tried, you know, to finish him with a leg lock, knee bar, and you know, he didn't work, but the transitions were there. So to me, that's really what was the most impressive.
And last thing for me, I know you're not a matchmaker, you don't book all these fights, you have a team of individuals that do that, but Douglas Lima has been in this organization for a long time. He's one of the faces. He's lost 2 consecutive fights. It's something you don't say very often about a guy like that. What would you personally like to see next for him? Would you like to see him just kind of take a break and reflect and come back, or do you want to see him sort of get right back in there? Have you talked to him at all since the fight?
No, I haven't talked to him, but, you know, that's really going to be up to him. I mean, the guy is a great fighter, right? He got out-wrestled tonight, and that's just what it is. It's part of the sport. You better have a wrestling game at Amosov's level, otherwise you're going to get taken down, you're going to be on your back all night. And, or you better be able to scramble and get back up. And you know what, it just didn't work out for him tonight. He could have had off night. But to me, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight MVP, right? I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Jackson. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Neiman Gracie. There's some fights out there for him, but really it's going to be based on what he wants to do, because if he wants to take some time off, then that's fine too.
All right, we'll take a couple more questions here. Jim?
Hey, Jim Arsenal, Miami Girl, thank you so much. Hey, between Amosov, Jason Jackson, and Marquez Jackson, South Florida just has so much talent down here. Just what is it like down here, coming down here, visiting here and all, and just all the talent that's here and what they need to Bellator and Park?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question exactly.
Just South Florida in general.
Oh, I see.
This area. I mean, this area is South Florida, and just all the talent that's here.
I'll tell you, just going to that gym, I went to AT&T last week to say hello to Dan Lambert and just have a look at his gym. I've heard so many great things about it. And here's a guy that, I mean, I'm talking about Dan, loves mixed martial arts, has loved MMA, loves the fighters, loves the trainers, he just loves that gym. And if you know Dan's background, he doesn't need to do anything, but he loves to give back to the MMA community, and he loves to have a home for these fighters. And I'll tell you, it was super impressive because the gym was 40,000 square feet, had everything you needed to become to train as a professional. And he probably had about 100 people working out there. And then he told me, we only allow professionals to train here. We don't have any classes for the general public. So that gym is really just built for super athletes to be professional MMA fighters. And I know Sanford has a gym close by. I haven't had a chance to go look at it yet, but that's another group that has just an amazing facility, amazing trainers. So you're right, in Florida, man, they just it's a fight factory, and it's really impressive. And between those two, I mean, there's those two gyms. There's AKA and San Jose. Think about the amount of talent that gym has pumped out over the last 15 years. It's unbelievable. And then you got Winklejohn and Greg Jackson in Albuquerque. You got Henzo's Academy. And then there's a few pockets here or there, but those 5 gyms are probably producing, I would say maybe 80% of the talent in MMA. So it's very impressive to see, so many great fighters coming out of South Florida now.
And lastly for me, again, thank you. Do you, Scott, see that this may be a good area then to have Bellator come down? And now with everything opening up, starting to open up again, to having something in South Florida. We have a lot of talent here.
Yeah, you're talking about doing fights there in South Florida?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, you know what? We definitely talked about it, and it's something we're considering. And maybe in the future. I'm not sure if my staff will show up to work though, because being in South Florida, they might not show up. It's definitely a great place to go and celebrate and have a good time. But as far as doing fights, listen, I'd love to go, and we'll start working on it.
Giancarlo?
Hi Scott, great event tonight. Just want to get your thoughts on your Romero. We recently did an interview where you talked about August as being a time where you'd like to get back in the cage. Have you ever had any recent discussions with them on possible opponents? And follow to that, would a potential fight be an alternate for that 205-pound Grand Prix?
Yeah, I mean, as far as when he's going to fight, we have to wait till he's cleared. And as soon as we get that clearance, we'll definitely schedule him right away. We're hoping before the end of the year, he'll at least fight one time. As far as being an alternate for the tournament, that's a consideration. But another consideration is to have him move down to 185 and start fighting there and get him busy. And maybe next year he could fight, if Gegard's still a champion or whoever he fights in the future, we can have a big super fight there.
Gabriel?
Yes, Scott, congratulations on having fans back in a successful evening. My question, I know there's always a lot of talk about, there's so many promotions now, getting so-called drafting that talent to the company is a little harder than it was before. When you talk about Yaroslav, what do you remember about maybe your conversations with Rich and when you pretty much signed this guy to be one of your up-and-coming talents in the company?
Yeah, you know what? I think it was actually Mike Hogan is the one that told me about him first, and I think Mike is the one that signed him. When a kid is 20, I think at that time he was 22-0 or 21-0, and he could wrestle, he could strike, he could have a great grappling game. Had a lot of high hopes for this kid, and then I think the fight that really stood out to me was him and Ed Ruth. They had a great battle back and forth. And then he had a great fight here with Logan Storley, which to me that was an amazing fight, fast-paced fight. He won, but that was a very close fight. I think that fight was a split decision, if I'm not mistaken. So you'll see Logan in here getting busy because I'm sure he's going to be motivated to fight Amosov again at some point. But there is a tremendous pool of athletes that would love to fight him, and I think Logan's going to be right up there. But as far as we're out there looking for the best fighters in the world, and Amosov is definitely one of them. And it took a couple of years to get here, and now he's a champ. So it all worked out for him.
Two more. Ed?
Mr. Coker, two questions in regards to what you just said about returning to business as usual. One is, how soon do you think you and Mr. Sakakibara can start doing some sort of business together again? And two is, with Showtime's connection with the recent pay-per-view, Logan Paul, I know you've talked about it enough, but is that something you might have a plan for the future?
Well, the first part of the question was Sakakibara. I mean, Japan is on lockdown. I'm not sure if you heard, but it's definitely closed right now, and I don't think that even for the Olympics next month that they're opening it up to foreigners to go there. So they have their, they're in the middle of their COVID crisis. So who knows? I'm not sure if we'll be able to travel that way for, months and months. Whereas here in the United States, it's kind of light at the end of the tunnel. As far as the Logan Paul situation, we talked to Logan a couple of years ago. He wanted to box. I asked if he's interested in MMA, and he said not right now. We're continuing conversations, but whether he chooses to box or on Showtime Sports pay-per-view, or he fights and he decides to come fight mixed martial arts, we'll definitely have a conversation at some point. That show was very successful in a lot of different ways, and Showtime did 1 million buys. Him and Mayweather, and honestly, I thought that he did a great job against Mayweather, who clearly in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th round was trying to knock him out. So, hats off to the kid, man. He trained hard. He did what he had to do, and he lasted 8 rounds with, arguably one of the best fighters of all time.
Mike?
Oh, hey. Oh, yeah. One more question for me, Scott. I know there's a lot of talk about the Paul brothers, but there was another boxer that came over to MMA and made her debut last night with the PFL, Claressa Shields. And I know that every organization kind of had discussions with her and wanted to bring her in. I'm just curious if you got a chance to watch her fight and what you thought of it, and her going over to a different organization and what you thought of the whole thing.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, listen, congratulations to her. I mean, she's an Olympic medalist, and she's had a great world championship career in boxing. I just will say this. I think that the road just gets much tougher moving forward. And, somebody that really has a good wrestling background and good submission game is going to be very dangerous against a pure striker. Because it's going to take her years to really learn the submission game and the wrestling, to fight somebody that has a wrestling, pedigree that, that's out there. It's going to be very tough. So, to me, she'll always have a shot because she has such great striking hands. But as far as, moving forward, I think as the opponents get tougher, I think she's going to have her hands full.
Last one, Darren.
Thanks for having me. Congrats on yet another successful event, Scott. The quick question that I've got is, do you have an accomplishment now that we're halfway through 2021 that you're most proud of for Bellator?
Boy, I tell you, that's a tough question. I mean, we've been working really hard here. I think that, I'd like to really, look at it as a whole, as a company whole, and for us to still be here, doing what we're doing what we love, having our staff grind it out, having the fighters be very patient with us because of all the different, hurdles we've had to face in this COVID time. I just got to give my hats off to them, and I'm really looking forward to the end of this year because, it's going to get back to business as usual, and we're going to start traveling here pretty soon. And I think that the last fight, kind of, let's call it our residency, will be the July 16th fight. That probably will be our last fight here, and then we might come back before the end of the year. But from then, we're going to get on the road, and I believe that we'll start doing fights in the San Francisco Bay Area and San Jose. We'll do fights in the New York area. We'll probably do fights in Chicago, LA. I mean, I think we're going to go back on the road and start hitting it hard again.
All right, thanks for the time, Scott.
Thank you.